PreAP Unit 8 Retest Review. Quick reminder that these 10 problems will appear on your retake, very similar with different numbers, so be prepared to answer these same 10 questions by yourself independently before you retest. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one. I'm going to go fairly quickly, so if you need to pause the video, feel free. If you have questions, make sure you ask them before you retest. All right, problem number 1, find the product. So we're multiplying here, right? Because product means multiply, and we're actually doing distribution. So we've got 2x squared times 5x squared. Well, the 2 times 5 gives us 10, and then we have our x, and what do we do with these exponents? We add them. So we get x to the 4th. We do our next term. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. X to the power of 2 plus 3 is 5, right? And then our final term here, 2x squared times 1. Well, anything times 1 is just itself, so we keep our 2x squared. Okay, this is my final answer because I do not have any like terms. Now I'm going to show you how to check your answers in your calculator, but I'm only going to do it once on each side of this review, so please pay attention and make sure that you do it for every problem, especially as you're retesting. All right, I'm just going to skip that part because otherwise this video will be way too long. All right, so you can see I already typed in the original problem here, right? And so underneath I'm going to type what I think my answer is, which is 10x to the power of, so that's this key right here, to the power of 4, and then click out of there, so then minus 4x to the 5th, right, to the power of 5, and then finally on the end there we've got plus 2x squared. So to check my answer, all I got to do is check my table and see that all my y column numbers are lining up, right? These numbers are matching up, so I know that my answer I got is equivalent. All right, so I know I'm good. Problem number 2, write this big long thing as a simplified polynomial. So for this problem, all we got to do is distribute. I'm going to rewrite it so I have some space here. And make sure you copy it correctly because that would be a really sad mistake to make. All right, at this point now we're just going to distribute similar to the first problem. So x squared times 3x squared, you can put a 1 here if that helps. 1 times 3 just stays 3. X to the power of, add those up and you get 4. 1x squared times 2, well 1 times 2 is 2. Don't forget to keep the x squared because this didn't have any x's, so it just stays x squared. Now we look at the next group. This is getting multiplied by negative 2x. So negative 2x times x cubed is going to be negative 2. Put a 1 here if it helps because you got to add up the 1 and the 3 to get x to the 4th power. Okay, and then our final term in this one we have negative 2x times negative 4. And that's going to be a negative times a negative, so a positive 8x. All right, the x is just this one from the outside. Now we check for like terms. We do have some like terms. We've got 3x to the 4th and minus 2x to the 4th. So 3 minus 2 is 1, which is just x to the 4th. If you want to put the 1, you can, but you don't have to. Plus 2x squared plus 8x. Again, just like problem 1, I would definitely put this in my calculator to check it. You would put this in y1, this in y2, make sure the tables match. Problem 3, expand and simplify. This problem is pretty simple as long as you understand that when you're squaring something, you're multiplying it times itself. All right, so when it says expand, it's specifically talking about doing this. And then we're going to simplify. So I think the easiest way to do this is the box method. However, if you prefer foiling or double distributive property, you can do either of those. So I've got x and a negative 5, x and a negative 5, and now each product is going to go in the box. So x times x is x squared. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. X times negative 5 is another negative 5x. And finally, negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. So my 4 terms from the box are x squared minus 5x plus 25. Combine your like terms to finish, and you've got x squared minus 10x plus 25. All right, problem number 4. Simplify the following equation. So this is set up in vertex form, right? Vertex form of a quadratic. And if you follow the order of operations, it tells us to take care of parentheses and exponents first. So I'm going to keep the negative 3, and I'm going to put x minus 2 plus 4. I wrote it twice because that's what this square here means. So I'm going to ignore everything else for a second, and I'm going to do the box here real quickly. And I'm going to put my x and my negative 2 along my box, and I'm going to get my product inside. So x squared negative 2x, and a positive 4. I'm going to go ahead and do this in one step. I'm going to combine my like terms from the box. I'm just not rewriting them like this. And let's kind of write this in our equation here. So my negative 3, and then I had parentheses. But instead of writing it like this, I'm going to write it from the box. So I got x squared. Negative 2x minus 2x is going to be a negative 4x, and then that positive 4. And then don't forget, I have this positive 4 on the end, so another plus 4. Now when it's written this way, we have to distribute one final time this negative 3. So I get negative 3x squared plus 12x, and then a minus 12, and then plus 4. Okay, we're almost finished. We just need to combine our like terms, which are these two at the end, negative 12 plus 4. So my final answer is going to be y equals negative 3x squared plus 12x, and negative 12 plus 4 is negative 8. So that's my final simplified equation. This is standard form. I was given vertex form, right? But they should be equivalent. Problem 5. Oh, one more time. Y'all put this in y equals, make sure those tables match. It's a really easy way to check. Problem 5, find the area of a triangle with a base of 3x plus 4 and a height of 2x minus 4. And it gives you this formula right here. What I want you guys to notice is that it still has base times height. It has this 1/2 in the front, but it still has base times height. So before I do anything else, I'm just going to go ahead and multiply the base times the height. So I'm going to have my 3x plus 4 times 2x minus 4, and I'm going to do my box method, and I'm just going to get this out of the way here real quick. Okay, so I've got 3x and positive 4, 2x and negative 4. So in this box I have 6x squared, 8x, negative 12x, and negative 16. So my product from the base times the height is going to be 6x squared plus 8x minus 12x minus 16. Don't forget to combine those like terms in the middle, and we've got 6x squared minus 4x minus 16. Okay, now don't stop here, because remember, all we did was the base times the height. So now what we need to do is we need to divide all of these by 2. Or if we want to use this formula that's written, we can do area equals 1/2 times this. Right? Don't forget to divide everything by 2. That's what multiplying times 1/2 does. So my final area for a triangle is going to be 3x squared. 1/2 times negative 4 is going to be negative 2x. And finally, 1/2 times negative 16 is going to be negative 8. So this would be the area for my triangle. I want you guys to notice, before I turn the page, all of the problems on the front, you're distributing. So you're multiplying using the box method, right? Or you're just doing regular distribution. On the back side of this test, we're factoring, which is literally reverse distribution. So we're doing what we did on the front, only we're doing it backwards, right? We don't start with parentheses, we need to get parentheses. Okay, so keep that in mind as we work on the back end factor. Okay, this first problem, I've got 5x squared minus 30x. Let's always remember the first thing we should do when we factor is check, okay, do I have any common factors for every term right now? And in this problem, I do. I have 5x. Both terms are divisible by 5. Both terms have x. So remember, we factor out the common factor by dividing. We put that number, the greatest common factor, outside parentheses, and we find the leftovers. So in this case, the 5's cancel, and x squared over x leaves us with just x. X is canceled in the next term, and I get minus 6. So my factored form for this is 5x times x minus 6. Now I am going to show you that we can check these in our calculator as well, but just like the last page, I'm only doing this problem on the back. All the others I expect you to just kind of remember how to do. All right, so we got 5x squared minus 30x in our calculator, and then we're going to put our answer, right, our factored form right under it. So I've got 5x parentheses x minus 6. And let's check my table, make sure they're the same, and they do, right? They line up, so we're good. We know that we did this correctly. Okay, just 1 second here. Okay. All right, right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the next one, right? I've got x squared plus 7x plus 12. And in this case, I don't have any greatest common factors, right? So I got x squared and I got 7x and then I got a 12. So we can't do just the GCF here. I have to do my grouping. So I'm going to first look at a times c, right? I've got to always look at a times c. And then I'm also going to look at b. Do you remember why? Okay, because we have to find two numbers that multiply to a times c. The same two numbers we choose need to add up to our b value. So in this case, a times c is just 1. All right, so we're going to do 1 times 12 and get 12. b is 7. So what two numbers multiply to 12 but add up to 7? And let's make a list for 12 here real quick. Okay, that's my whole list. All these pairs multiply to 12. Which one adds up to 7? Okay, we got to use this one, 3 times 4. So we're going to break it up, and we're going to put our x squared in the front. We're going to put our 12 at the end, but we're not going to write 7x. Okay, we're not going to write 7x. We're going to write our positive 3x and our positive 4x. Once you've chosen those numbers, the rest goes pretty quickly, right? We're going to create our two groups. We've got x squared plus 3x in a group, and we have 4x plus 12 in another group. And then we find our GCF for each one. So in this first group, my GCF, all these two terms have in common is they both have an x. So I'm going to divide out their x and put it outside. Now we figure out what's left over, so that's just going to be x plus 3. Okay, do the same thing for the other group. Remember, they're not related right now. You're looking at them separately. So my greatest common factor for this group is just 4. Divide it out, put it outside, and figure out what's left over. So in that case, it's going to be x plus 3. All right, now we're happy about this because we have x plus 3 in both, right? Those are supposed to match. If they don't match, start over, find your mistake. So one of my final groups is going to be the x plus 3, right? Those matching groups. My other group is going to be these outside terms, which is x and a positive 4. And that is my final factored form. Okay? All right, let's see. Okay, sorry, I keep trying to pause this thing, it's not working, so I just have to finish. Give me a second. All right, so next one we got 6x squared plus x minus 2. Again, no common factors for all three terms, which means we start with looking at a times c. In that case, we're going to get negative 12 this time, and b is going to be just positive 1. Let's put the 1 right there to help. All right, so what multiplies to 12? Again, we got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Since I'm trying to add up and be a positive, my bigger number should be positive, which means that my smaller numbers are the negatives in this case. All right, which of these adds up to net positive 1? It's going to be this group here. So instead of writing 1x, I have a negative 3x and a positive 4x, right? I've split this up. My outside terms remain the same. I've got 6x squared and a negative 2. So just like the last problem, the next steps are exactly the same. We've got 6x squared minus 3x in a group, and it doesn't matter what order you write these in, by the way. My next group is going to be 4x minus 2. So we're going to find the GCF and factor it out for each of these groups. The GCF in this has got to be, let's see, 3x. Both terms can be divided by 3x, so that's going to go outside. We're going to find the leftovers here. We're going to get 2, and then we still have an x. These cancel and these cancel, so don't make the mistake of not writing anything, right? Anything divided by itself is just 1. So we're going to write minus 1. Okay, next one. My GCF is going to be, let's see, 4x and a 2 can both be divided by 2. So we're going to have 2 on the outside. And the leftovers here are going to be 2x minus 1. Again, in the parentheses in black, those are matching. That's perfect. That's what we want. And then our outside terms form our other group. So 3x and a positive 2. Don't forget to check your answer in your calculator, right? You can put this in y1, this in y2. Make sure those tables line up. Okay, almost done here. Completely factor the polynomial. Okay, well, we talked about earlier, the first thing we should look for in a GCF, and in this case, I do have a GCF. Both of those terms can be divided by 3. So before we go any further, let's divide out that 3. That leaves me with x squared minus 25y squared. And at this point, you should recognize special, right? This 25 kind of gives it away. That's a perfect square number. Also, x squared is a perfect square, and y squared is a perfect square. So right now, we've got the difference of squares. Okay, and this is a rule that allows us to factor super quickly if you know what you're looking for. All right, so my final answer, I'm going to get it set up. Here's all we do. Why is x squared a perfect square? Well, because it's x times x. Why is 25y squared a perfect square? Well, because it's 5y times 5y. Right? And this only works for difference of squares. And now to finish it off, you got to decide on your signs. In order to multiply and get this end number, this negative number, don't forget you have to have a positive and a negative. Doesn't matter which one is which as long as you have one of each. Again, don't forget to check your answer. In this case, you'd have to use the box and FOIL it out because your calculator wouldn't be able to do that for you. Okay, last problem. Here we go. Justin Timberlake wants to tile his bathroom floor as indicated by the shaded region except for the space taken up by the bathtub. I'm assuming that's this white space. Write a simplified expression that will help him calculate the area of the shaded region. All right, well, area is pretty simple, you guys, especially of a rectangle. So I'm going to first find the area of the shaded blue box. I'm going to multiply these two together. All right, and I'm going to do that really quickly over here. So I'm going to say area is going to be 6x times 2.5x. Okay, and what is 6 times 2.5? I want to say 15, but I don't want to risk it here. 6 times 2.5 is 15. All right, so we've got 15x. All right, so we're going to kind of hang on to that for now. Now what I got to do is I got to find the area of this smaller box. So we're going to multiply, get another area for this other box, and we're going to say x times x minus 7. Okay, well this is going to give me x squared minus 7x. So I have my two areas, right? I have 15x and I have x squared minus 7. So we got to take the area of the blue box, which was the 15x, and we have to subtract the area of the smaller box, the x squared minus 7x. If you do it like I have it written right now, you're going to get it wrong because we have to subtract the whole area. We have to subtract the quantity. You have to have parentheses. All right, so moving on with the parentheses, we get 15 minus x squared, but then we get a positive 7x. And since none of these are like terms, this is my answer. If I wanted to make it a little bit better, I would put the x squared term in the front, so negative x squared, and then my 7x, and then my 15. And that would be my final answer for the area of this big blue box subtracting this smaller box for the bathtub. Okay, remember all these 10 problems are on your retake. Make sure you can do them by yourself. Ask questions if you need to. Watch this video as many times as you need to. Good luck.